let us get this Narshe review underway for these characters and the seed. So, as usual, we're rating them in order of appearance so far, and as you may well already know if you've watched old videos, it's on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being completely useless, and 10 being absolutely essential to our team. So we are going to start with the man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend, Teen Sephiroth. Alright, so, number 1, he's Sephiroth, right? So, I was a little upset when we got him, because, again, if you've watched a lot of these videos, you know I'm not a huge Sephiroth fan at all. And we can get into that some other time if you really want to know, but I'm not a huge Sephiroth fan. I really didn't like him as a villain. Yada, 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 yada. But despite that, to be honest with you, Sketch and Morph, I'm really glad that the Buckler was what was changing Fight into Sketch, because at first I thought that he just had 2 Sketch commands, Morph and Item, which means he couldn't have done anything. But not the case. He has Fight, Sketch, Morph, and Item. Okay, so, looking back at when I had Sephiroth in the Villain Redemption Arc seed, and how useless he was there, he didn't have a magic command then either, just like now. He had W Life Shaver and question mark Shiva, right? This time, he's not that much better. I was really hoping he would be better than that iteration of Sephiroth, but not quite so much. So, again, Sketch has some weird undertones to it in the randomizer, where if you try and sketch a randomized enemy, sometimes it can just crash the game, in the same fashion as like the sketch glitch in the vanilla game. So it kind of makes you nervous to try and sketch anything. And then you have Morph, which, again, Morph has a niche use, right? For bosses, you might want to morph and attack to do more damage, or throw some magic out, because it does give you quite a bit of a magic power boost and an attack power boost. Pretty much a stat boost all around. So it's fine. It turns them into Go-Go. I know that. But it's not game-breaking, right? The only thing he has going for him is everything he can equip, right? He's got Atma Weapon that he can equip. Obviously, his HP isn't very good yet. But we also got the Greatest, which is amazing. We started the game with the Break Blade, which is, I mean, we got that from the Welk fight. I mean, we've had it since the beginning, and it's a pretty good weapon. He has the option of a Regal Cutlass, which the Regal Cutlass is really cool, because with the Mass Effect flag, it is actually, I believe, the one that's giving us 1 MP cost. So, it's a fragile weapon, so you wouldn't want to swing with it, but equipping it would give you the economizer effect. We also have an economizer, but that's besides the point. We'll talk about that later. But there's really no point to giving him anything cool like that, because he doesn't have a magic command. So, as it stands, he's got a decent magic power stat, but no way to really use magic, unless he procs magic off of a weapon, or breaks an item that does magic. So really all he's doing is physically attacking, and his vigor stat is not the best anyway. He's fallen under the same problem that he had in the Villain Redemption Arc, where his best option is to fight, and a good rule of thumb for this randomizer, if your best option is to fight with a character, that character's not that good. So, all that being said, our teen angsty Sephiroth is a 2 out of 10. Definitely a 2. I can't rationalize giving him, or I can't justify giving him a higher rating than that, to be honest. And for the memes, he's a Norman Bates out of 10, because of his mommy issues. Alright. Moving on to Ghost. Okay, number 1, Ghost is awesome, because it's a ghost. It's just a straight-up ghost. If that face doesn't give you nightmares, you have problems. He's on a quest to find the perfect house to haunt. He still hasn't run across any. He ran across one that looked really good, but there was a save point in it, so he didn't want to deal with it. You know, people being able to save kind of gets in the way of haunting them and spooking them if they can just reload a save, right? Before they got scared. On the gameplay, though, he's got Hexfer. Number 1, it's pretty cool that Hex is in the name of it, and he's a ghost. Kind of neat. And what it is it's Heal Force and Exfer. Now, not the best combination of attacks, mostly because you're going to have to Heal Force the enemy, but you're going for an instant kill anyway. Heal Force isn't that powerful of a cure spell, so throwing Heal Force on something and then erasing them doesn't really matter much. But Exfer has had a couple of moments where it's helped us out. It's really good, just like the last seed with Edward and Saber Soul. It's really good for regular enemies, not going to be good for much else. He has a magic command. However, he has no magic. In fact, none of the characters that we have so far have any magic besides one of them who learned it from a piece of equipment. But regardless, he's actually good because of something, a few other things, right? So he has Locke's weapon scheme. So he has access to the Atma weapon, eventually, the greatest. He's been using the sniper, which is one of my favorite thief weapons, or one of my favorite weapons in the game, actually, because it's just so cool. And it's neon green in this seed, which is even cooler. And then, of course, the Valiant Knife, which is Locke's best weapon. Like, let's be real. Eventually, that's going to be how he does damage. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool he's got access to all these different weapons, all these different options he can use. So not only does he have access to all these weapons, right? He also has access to the Light Robe, which is a piece of equipment we got from saying no to Bannon 3 times at the Returner hideout. Now, in the original game, Light Robe, pretty decent piece of equipment, right? Well, in the randomizer, because of the Mass Effect flag, it actually gave us something a lot more helpful than just its piece of equipment, right? It changes the magic command into the R-Rare command, right? Which was a random spell that's rare, right? So, I've seen many things come out of that, quite a few things. Notably, I've gotten Mega Hit, which is what the randomizer calls Shock from General Leo, the Spin Sword Boom, a lot of damage, a lot of non-elemental damage there. And it also can roll Goner, yeah, and Mind Blast, and all kinds of other things. So, the fact that he doesn't have magic, and most of our characters with a magic command don't have magic yet, that is getting used a lot. So, for him, it changes it, as you can see, into R-Rare. So, he's got a lot of utility. He can attack with the Valiant Knife or the Sniper. He's got the Light Robe to cast R-Rare, and he's got an instant kill with Exfer. Ghost is pretty badass. Despite the fact that his stats aren't the greatest, he's got 49 speed. So, I am going to go ahead and rate him just based upon what he has that he can do in the endless options right now, at an 8. He is way high up there in the rating right now. And he's just cool. Like, look at him. He's just cool, man. So, there you have it for Ghost. And for the memes, he is dead and loving it out of 10. Alright, moving on to Melan. Okay, so, we have one of the 4 Fiends, which is cool as hell, number 1. He has Fight, Sword Tech, Magic, and Item, right? For the same reason that I've laid out before, he could equip the Light Robe and get R-Rare in his magic spot. And he's got a 46 magic power, which would be really good for him. However, that's currently being used by a couple other characters it's better for. So, he's not getting the benefit of that. He may actually have to, simply because, for some reason... Oh, he's got him now. Okay, never mind. I take it back. So he's got Sword Tech. I was rating him initially on the fact that I didn't know if he could actually get more Sword Techs, because, as I explained in the last episode, I did not know specifically. I knew that you got new Sword Techs based on the new swords that you got, the stronger swords you got. However, I thought you had to equip them to get those Sword Techs. Turns out, you can learn them by leveling up, apparently, or you just learn them by proxy if someone else had them. So, that's pretty neat. He's got up to Quadra Slam now, which makes him pretty good. The problem is he has to wait for a little while to even use it. because it's got the gauge buildup, which is a lot of the reason why Cyan in the vanilla game was so rarely used by me. Um, I always thought it would have been cool if you could have got a relic or something of the sort that allowed you to choose which one to use instead of wait for the gauge to fill up, but I guess that takes away from the thematic thing about him being a swordsman and, like, having the katana in the sheath and, like, charging it. But, regardless, Melan's good. He's not terrible. He's just not the best, with our other options right now. So, for good old Melan, I'm going to have to give him it was going to be a 4, but I'm updating it to a 5 because he's got up to Quadra Slam. So he's going to be a 5. And for the memes, he is an oh my body out of 10. Okay, Melan's twin brother Castor. Alright, so, Castor is awesome. Just saying. For a lot of reasons. Number 1, look at that HP. Okay, 430. Number 2, he's a black mage, which is awesome. Number 3, his equip scheme is pretty dang good. He's got knives and rods and all that stuff. The Magus Rod is upping his magic power pretty well, which is even better. He doesn't have any magic. He's learning Shell right now from something I forget what I had equipped on him, teaching that. But he's got Fight and Throw, magic and items. See, now this is why he gets... this is why he's so good, right? So he's got Throw. We ran across some water edges. I believe I bought a few of them. Yeah, we have 1 Invis Edge and 10 water edges, okay? So, and I believe I saw water, or fire skeins in Figaro Castle. So I'll be buying some of those too after the Narshe fields. That's really, really, really good AoE. Throw is just good. In general. Even if I ran out of skeins, I've got all of these weapons that are kind of useless, some of them, that I could just be chucking. I have 11 mithril knives, for instance, you know? Throw is just good in general, all the time. Now, he is also the one that I have been equipping, other than Ghost, of course. The other character that I've been equipping with the light robe to give him are rare, and he did a lot of work on the Phantom Train with that. So... either bouncing the light robe back and forth between characters, or if we find another light robe, it's not as if it's a rare piece of equipment. It's going to be really helpful. So, he's looking really good, man. I mean, his stats aren't the best. 48 stamina is kind of weird for that to be his, like, big stat, because if you don't know, stamina affects a few weird things, right? So it affects how much HP you get from each step with the Tintina bar. It affects, I believe it affects how long you're inflicted with sleep and thing. I think it has to do with the taper that comes and heals you. And a few other weird things like that. So, other than that, he's looking really good, man. I really like him. I'm going to go ahead and put him at an 8 as well. He is right up there with Ghost, maybe even better, depending on his potential. But we're not rating on potential, we're rating on how good they are right now. So, yep, he's an 8, and for the memes, he's a don't you think I look good in this hat out of 10. Alright, moving on to Shin. Okay, so, again, there are no Suikoden characters in this randomizer. No Suikoden sprites that you can get. But we got a merchant with a turban that's yellow, and he's got, like, almost the exact same scheme. Like, I'll throw up a picture of Shin right now. Just check that out. Their color scheme is almost exactly the same. So, I went ahead and basically pretended I had a Suikoden character. So, despite how cool that is, he's very, very plain. He doesn't have a lot of stuff going for him. He's got a decent equip scheme, right? But not anything incredible. And he's got capture and magic, right? Even with throwing, you know, the R-Rare thing on him and everything, that just gives him a little boost, and he's never going to be the one wearing that, right? And capture is just kind of meh. I mean, we've been getting some good stuff out of capture, but the stuff we get from capture doesn't just make capture good, right? So, In Shin's case, I am going to have to, sadly, give him a rating of a 2, because he's not incredibly great. He does, however, have Fire 2 now, because he was able to equip the Flame Shield, which I found, that teaches Fire 2. So, that is one more thing he has, but again, 33 magic power stat, not incredible. I think because he's got Fire 2, in fact, I am going to up his rating to a 3 instead of a 2. But still not that great. So he's a 3. And for the memes, why don't you have Spider Slay out of 10? Spider Slay is such a cool move. Okay, moving on. Before we move on to our next character, we gotta talk about Sid. Because Sid rolled in Shadow Spot. So number one, first thing I can say about him is he's Sid, therefore Sid. And his skills were a combination skill of Dispel and Bolt Beam, which we used on the Phantom Train a lot. Question mark level 4 Flare. Yeah. So let me just talk about what sucks about those. So Dispel, pretty much useless, especially early game, right? You're not going to have anything that you're wanting to dispel off of things anyway. Bolt Beam. Pretty okay right now, but it's also one element and one target and not that powerful. It was better than him attacking, of course, when we had him, but it's not that great, especially considering that the next time we're going to have him is the Floating Continent, and most stuff by then is going to have some kind of resistances to the base elements, and lightning is a base element. So they're going to find a way to make Bolt Beam useless. Question mark level 4 Flare. Why? You know, if it misses on whatever you're trying it on, you're just going to have to sit there through him doing it however many times he feels like, so pretty much not using it. And he's Sid, man. What's he doing back? He is better than his previous iteration with the Lullaby Lagomorph crap. But he's still not that good. Sid gets a 2, only because he's better than old Sid, and he actually has decent damage with Bolt Beam right now. So he's a 2, and for the memes, he has a why won't you die out of 10. Alright, moving on to another returning character for the 3rd seed now. Leo has been in 3 of my seeds. Most recurring characters so far. So, this time, however, the first time I got him in the Adventures of Leo and Leon, he had Arbio, which was pretty much useless. Second time I got him, last game, he had Flantle, right, which was Flash Rain, Antlion combo skill. Helped out a little bit for a little while, but not that freaking great. It seems like the natural progression that now, on his 3rd time in, he's actually really good. So, he's got Blitz and Tools. Both of the twins' abilities, right? And it's perfect for him because he's a big, dumb jock. So, Blitz, obviously, he plays football, and Tools, he knows how to fix cars and shit. So he's the one that pretty much picks on little teen Sephiroth here, because they're from 2 different worlds. But Leo is really good just simply because of those. Obviously, Blitz, really good. He's got some weird inputs for them, though, because I randomized the inputs. Y down down for a suplex, kind of weird. And then this one, X back Rixel down, right, is ridiculous for Fire Dance. And I'm getting used to doing it without having to look at my phone and see what it is in the middle of battle. But he's got a reverse Hadouken, a reverse Fierce Hadouken for his R-Bolt, and then Pummel seems to be vanilla. But yeah, he's really good. Like, I can see him being very, very good this seed, for many fights. It's just great utility. The tools I have, just auto crossbow alone is good. And then I've got a chainsaw, bioblaster, noise blaster. The tools are just good in general. So, yeah, Leo looking pretty great, man, and his stats aren't half bad either. Look at that 48 magic power stat, just ridiculous. So Leo is sitting at an 8 as well, right up there with Castor and Ghost, for sure. He's very, very good, and he will probably remain on our team for a little while. And for the memes, he gets 3rd times the charm out of 10. And now, our final character. Yes, it is supposed to be Rosa. However, when I saw the sprite, it looked like Good Terra had returned. And how perfect, because Granny is our villain, who is planning to turn into the new evil Terra. So, Good Terra came out of the mountains, and has been training this whole time. She got a brand new cape, and she's just ready to go now. She's like, I will stop Granny from fulfilling the prophecy, right? So, and she has some pretty great stuff. She's got Mimic and Jump. Now, she's got Mimic, but she's got Jump, but it's Super Jump because we have a piece of equipment that gives her Super Jump, which is freaking awesome. And she's got Mimic, which immediately makes her good, right? As I've explained in previous seeds, if you have Mimic, that character with Mimic basically becomes your next best character. You know, that you have your best character on the team and you have her mimic what they do. Just really good. She can equip weapons, so her jump is actually not doing that much damage, but it is a better option than just attacking with fists. Mostly she's probably going to be mimicking everything, but she's pretty dang good just in general. Look at those stats. Like, if she mimics any magic, it's going to do ridiculous damage. She's got a magic power stat of 49, and that's without equipment on, right? So, yeah, she's going to be very, very good. Maybe not better than previous Good Terra, who was our Berserker, but still pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and rate her at a 7 out of 10. And for the memes, it's definitely the chosen one out of 10. She will be the one to stop Granny. So, now that all that's over with, I can talk about the seed. This seed is fun as hell. Let me explain. Mass Effect and Random Boost together are really interesting. Because again, we're getting late game equipment, and you know, we have a freaking Paladin shield right now. You know, and that didn't get anything real bad on it, or anything. So that's a bad example. But for the most part, when we get this late game equipment, it's having detrimental effects on it too because of the Mass Effect. So let me explain what both of those do real quick if you hadn't watched the previous videos or I didn't explain it well enough. So what Mass Effect does is it increases the chance by a lot that equipment can have extra effects on it. So let's take a look at one in particular. So let's see, Crystal Mail. No, that's not a good example. So let's take a look at the Force Armor. Perfect example. Force Armor is late game equipment, pretty dang good. Look at the 50% damage prevention, right? And it's just magic defense up, right? Then you go over here, and it's got auto berserk on it, which means anyone who equips this piece of armor is going to be berserked. Uncurable berserk, because it's coming from a piece of equipment. So, that being said, we're getting late game stuff really early, but when it has stuff like that on it, you have to think twice about whether or not you want to equip it. So it's a really cool dynamic, right? It makes, you know, equipment options more dynamic and more interesting. You have to decide whether or not something's worth equipping if it has detrimental effects on it. So, just really neat and really cool, and I'm glad I did it. And Random Boost is the reason that we're getting all this late game stuff. It is a flag that when you roll the seed, it prompts you for a randomness multiplier. If you make that multiplier 0, it means that any item in the entire game can show up in any treasure box in the entire game. Period. It even makes random drops different. So that's why we have all this late game stuff. That's why we've got a snow muffler already. That's why we've got a freaking paladin shield. That's why we've got all these great relics like the economizer and stuff. Just, we're getting a lot of good stuff. So those two flags together are super interesting, and I'm really glad I did it. Now, the light robe giving our rare is just a neat option also, if no one gets good magic from espers eventually, and but it's not so broken that you blaze through the seed, or blaze through fights, you know? It does have blaze in it, but that's not what I mean. It's very random. Granted, like I said, it's got, like, Mega Hit and Goner and Mind Blast and stuff in it, but then you'll get something like Tentacle that isn't that great, or you'll get something that doesn't even do damage, or doesn't even do really anything. So, so it's kind of like a crapshoot of getting something good, while we don't have magic. So if anybody doesn't get good magic from espers later, our rare is still an option, which is neat. And as far as, you know, the seed itself and the characters and stuff, again, I thought having Sephiroth as my main character would make me immediately hate this run. But it's one of the most fun I've played so far, to be honest with you. Making Sephiroth into a whiny, rebellious teenager is perfect. And all the characters that's gathered around him, you know, they kind of have their own motivations for being there and stuff. And the interactions are just cool. And it's a cool group of characters. I mean, check these guys out. We got 3 hooded guys with no faces. We got Shin, General Leo, Good Terra's return. You know, it's just really neat. I like it. Sid is a blind spot because I don't really like Sid. But he's not on our team all the time, so he's not really going to be a central part of the story. I love that Terra is the only girl right now, and she doesn't speak. She just kind of stares, because she knows her purpose, and it's not to be super goody-good friends with all these people and to talk to them. Her purpose is to murder Granny before she fulfills the evil Terra prophecy. So, you know, this whole seed has been really cool so far, and I can't wait to keep going and see what the rest of it has in store. I'm pretty excited about it. P.S. though, the buckler sucks. That's the thing that turns fight into sketch. So I'm avoiding bucklers at all costs. If I find them, they're getting trashed or sold. Regardless of that, that is the end of the Narshe review. I will see you again for a longer video like this when we get to Tomasa for the Tomasa review. We'll have a lot more characters, and we'll get to see exactly how these characters panned out throughout the game up until then. So until then, I will see you guys next time. Peace.